Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Long time no see. I haven't posted a video of myself in a really long time. As you guys know that you're subscribed because I make music playlists, basically Christian based music playlists to replace circular music, worldly music. But basically I wanted to go back to my first love, quote unquote, informational youth Christian content, basically. So I wanted to, the setup is first of all very different from the very first video. More relaxed, like I'm literally wearing a hoodie, no makeup, no lashes, really chill, because I wanted this video to be more so conversational, just based off of the type of content that it is, like the type of stuff that I'll be talking about today, basically. So really heavy. Well, actually no, it's not really heavy, but it's like, yeah, it's relevant. I would say it's relevant to the day and age that we are in right now. And yeah, so I'm excited. Let's jump into the video. Also, you should you should subscribe, you should stay here for a while, get some matcha, get some peppermint tea, get some bubble tea, and then sit back and watch and enjoy. All right, let's jump right into it. So the title for this video is actually going to be The Power in Music Tied to the Power of Your Words. So as I mentioned, right, most of you guys have subscribed to me because I started making playlists, Christian music playlists, because some backstory, I used to be someone that really enjoyed underground music. If you know what I mean, I'm 24, so like around 2017, the SoundCloud era, when we all had, well, not all of us, some people had SoundCloud, like the really archived people had SoundClouds, and then they had Audio Mac, stuff like that. And we listened to really underground artists, Thousand Bound Fanny, one of the activists, Playboy Cardi when he was still very like beginner, like in 2015, 2014 times. Who else? All these really underground people, Run So Cold, like Boof Pag Mookie, like all these really underground guys, right? So that was my ish. I used to listen to it every single day. There was no Playboy Cardi song that you could tell me that I didn't know. I'll probably insert, like, I was obsessed. Like, that was my number one. That was my favorite artist in the world. That was my number one guy. I'll actually put up a picture somewhere here of my wall in my room. Mind you, that poster, I made that poster when I was like 16, 17, and I carried that poster as I moved cities, as I moved apartments. That poster stayed in one piece, and I moved it across like 2-3 apartments and cities, like, guys. I was obsessed. The Cardi poster wall that I had up there. So I was really in the darkness, not knowing that it was darkness. I was like literally 16, 17, really ignorant and stuff like that. But yeah, so tying this back to the topic of the power of music, right? These people, these types of artists, the type of music they made obviously is not very uplifting music. It's not music about God, reveal yourself to me, show yourself to me, let your will be done in my, no. It was very much getting high every day, doing drugs, talking to girls, just very music that is just edifying your flesh and it's not edifying your spirit. And sometimes it's really even speaking curses over yourselves. Now, the number one point that I'm not gonna dive into, lyrics of speaking sickness, mental torment, addictions over your life, and then coming into agreement with these lyrics. So the whole premise of this, right? I was reminded of a time where there was this song that I really liked. It was called Hypnotica by Trippie Redd and K Suave. So basically, I had taken, obviously when I was making my videos of myself and I was looking all cute with my hair done, makeup done, lashes done, I would be playing the music in the background, right? And then I'll be lip syncing. You know how people would do it, like you'd be lip syncing to the music and then you'd be taking your video, cute stuff like that. So the specific lyrics that I really sang the most in that part, because it was the bridge or like the hook, I don't know what the actual technical term is, but the part was basically like Trippie Redd was basically saying he swears to God he sees demons every time he closes his eyes, and basically replaced the he with I. That's what he was saying, and with my own mouth I was saying that as well. I was saying I see demons every time I close my eyes, like, And it was just so normalized because that was the type of music that I was always listening to, right? So there was nothing wrong with it in my eyes. It was just like, oh yeah, that's just like the regular stuff. That's just what they all sing about, like normal. It's basic, like, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. And I was just like, now that obviously I've grown, I've matured, I'm just like, this is crazy. Like, we put certain people on a pedestal, like we put these types of guys on a pedestal. These guys are actively fighting off demons on the daily basis. They're fighting active demons. They're using alcohol, drugs, weed to try and silence the demons. Because like you literally cannot escape the demons. They're always battling the demons. The demons are always with them. And they literally sing about that. Because if you really think about it, like all those types of underground dark music, they all sing about the same stuff. Why is it always like, oh, making a deal with the devil, I sell my soul to the devil. The devil came to me last night. But like, they'll be singing, the melody is like so good. You wouldn't even realize that they're singing stuff like this. And they, like, it's so normalized that we're like, oh yeah, that's just like normal lyrics. So everyone just always says that, but like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, no, it really matters. Another thing that also drew my attention to this was I was going back from study. I'm actually on campus right now. But one of my study days, like some weeks ago, I was thinking about this Nicki Minaj song when she was like, I think it was Want Some More by Nicki and like Jeremiah or something. Basically, there was a part where she was like, you can tell I'm the illest because my dividends is the biggest. And she's always talking about like, she's the illest. Have you ever noticed how, like mainstream songs, like the message is always negative and they always want you to speak negativity over your life? So going back to the part about the Hypnotica music that I was listening to by K Suave and Trippie Redd. So remember how I mentioned that the lyrics were like, oh, he sees demons every time he closes his eyes, but obviously the he was replaced with I, right? Mind you, at that point in my life, everything was scary to me. Everything. Like imagine you're just in your room, like I'm in a room like this, and I'm just scared. Like I'm kind of just like looking over my shoulder, like, oh my gosh, like, is someone here? Is someone here? Guys, isn't that just so unserious and so crazy? Like, because I was listening to all these music by guys that were literally fighting and battling active demons, and they were speaking about their demonic encounters, and I was there professing the words with my mouth too. So basically, if you think about it, there was a transference. I was like basically saying, yes, I want to experience what you're experiencing. It makes no sense. Not that I look back at it, it makes no sense why I was always scared in my room. I promise you, I was in my room, like a pretty big, decent sized room, right? I lived in an apartment with friends at the time. So I was just in my room alone, as I would always just be in my room alone, right? In the evening time. And then obviously it's darker in my room. I had my fairy lights, but I was just always scared. I would always just be looking around the corner, looking at one corner, like, is something here, is something here? Literally just scared, like in my mind, just petrified. There's nothing in my room, but I feel like there's something in my room. I'm just scared because I was always singing these horrible lyrics by people that were, like I said, addicted to weed, addicted to drugs, battling active demons. People that were actively tormented. I was basically saying, ooh, me. I want to share in your torment. I want to share in your torment. And there I was just being tormented in my room. We need to be very careful with the words that we speak over our lives. Like for real. It's not a game, guys. It's really not a game. It's really not a game. And this just reminds me of the fact that like God is very intentional with the things and the rules that he has in place. It's not because he's a strict God. He's like, oh, you don't want us to have fun, blah, blah, blah. You're so boring. No, he wants what is best for us. He knew that if I was literally singing all these songs by guys that are getting actively tormented, I would be tormented too. That's why he tells us basically to guard our heart above everything else, because out of it flows the issues of life, right? I wasn't guarding my heart and my mind well. I wasn't guarding it well because I was allowing negative music, evil music, scary music influence me and shape me and just like fill my heart, fill my like where the Holy Spirit should have been. I was allowing that scary music fill my heart, fill my mind and stuff like that, you know. So he's very intentional. God is very intentional about what he asks us to do. And like as I mentioned earlier, how it's like some people might be like, oh, your God is so boring. He doesn't let you do all these. He has all these rules in place. I like the way of the world better. It's so fun. It's so this. It's so that. But now I want to link it to something. I have a note here that really talks about it really well. Let me try to find it real quick. Give me 1 second, guys. So basically, it also talks about I'm going to link it to this verse, Matthew 7:13-14, NIV version still, and it says, "Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction. Many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow is the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." So that was Matthew 7, verse 13-14 in the NIV version. And that basically it really just sums up the world now. You know, the things of the world now are so pleasurable. They look so shiny, they look so attractive. But that's just the enemy. The enemy is actually just playing dress up with darkness. He's basically just dressing up hell. He's putting on some lipstick, a cute dress, a cute outfit, a nice fitted cap on hell to make it attractive for people. The gate is wide. He wants as many, I don't know if you guys have ever seen those pictures where they talk about they try to basically put a visual to this verse of Matthew 7:13. It's like a really big road, but then the road is going, and then it eventually goes off a cliff, right? And then maybe there's a super narrow road that is going in a different direction, and then behind the actual road is a lush garden, springs, awesome things, rivers flowing, heaven and hell. The path to hell seems like a party, a good vibe, just enjoyment, enjoying your life, just doing whatever it is. But eventually it leads to destruction, it leads to hell. The way of life that leads to heaven seems very narrow. It seems like, oh, they're not having fun, they're so boring, they're being so modest, they're not listening to the trending music, they don't know what's trendy right now, blah, blah, blah. But no, keep your eye on the path that leads to life. Because honestly, think about it, guys. If this is the bar of, let's say this is the whole bar of life and then eternity. Life on earth maybe only makes up this amount. So from here all the way to here is only think about it, what life on earth actually is. And then from here all the way to here, think about it, that's how maybe eternity is going to be. So imagine only here being 80 years alive or 85 years, however long people on earth live on average now. That's the amount of time that you're going to be enjoying, having fun, partying, drinking, doing drugs, having sex, doing all this type of stuff, right? Living life in a way that the world sees fit. Yeah, you're enjoying that small chunk of time, but then think about it, all this time from here up to here, that is going to be, I'm just doing this for a scale for you guys to see the scale difference, right? So all the time from here to here that is going to be spent in eternity is going to be in hell. So it's this is not to scare anyone, but it's just to put things into perspective. It's would you rather really negatively enjoy the 80-something years that you're going to be on the earth and then spend eternity being tormented in hell? Or would you make certain sacrifices? And realistically, when you get to know God, they're not even sacrifices, because you see his reasoning for why he tells you to live this certain way. So basically, back to what I was saying, right? Would you then quote unquote sacrifice? Because it's really not a sacrifice when you really understand why he's doing this, because it's all out of love, right? Or would you really rather sacrifice that small time and then enjoy all of this eternity in peace, happiness with God in heaven? So when you put things like that into perspective, the choice should be really obvious of what you want to take. But going back to that verse I mentioned earlier, the God of this age has blinded the mind of unbelievers so that they cannot see the light of the gospel that displays the glory of Christ, who is in the image of God. It's really sad, truly very sad to see and just to know. Really, really sad. So legally, right? Demons need your permission. They need your authority. They need you to be yep, go ahead. They need you to come into agreement with what it is they're trying to do. And basically, how you come into agreement with what they're trying to do is by singing and proclaiming what it is with your mouth, with your tongue. I'm gonna switch to a verse that basically says, this is Proverbs 18:21, and it says, "The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit." The second verse that ties into this concept is Proverbs 21:23. "Those who guard their mouths and their tongues keep themselves from calamity." So now imagine, let's link it back to the Nicki Minaj thing. She's always saying she's the illest. I believe in the spiritual realm, right? You guys just stick with me. In the spiritual realm, how will I break this down? Okay, let's just say person A, person B, person C. Person A, in their lineage, maybe they have a tendency to, and this is in the spirit realm, maybe it's not manifesting yet in the physical, but they're okay, in their lineage, they have a tendency to get sick. Another person is like they have a tendency to be not get married or something. Another person's lineage is like to deal with addiction, stuff like that. So the person A that has a tendency of primarily sensitivity or like lineage generational sensitivity to sickness, right? They'll be singing Nicki Minaj lyrics like that, like, oh, she's the illest, she's the illest, she's the sickest. And then the demons are like rubbing their hands together, doing a Birdman hand rub, like, yeah, keep saying it, girl. Keep saying it. Yeah, we're coming. And it's like you saying that with your mouth, you have legally given the demons and the kingdom of darkness authority to start acting in your life, to start enacting their plan and to put their plan into motion, basically. So it's like we need to be really careful with our words. These are not just playful lyrics. Like, this is your life. Like, your life is literally in your hands. Like, technically, like the words that you speak. That's why you should always profess good things, health, success, stability over your life. Don't be saying any and everything, that's rubbish. Another verse that I'm going to link this to is Psalm 141 verse 3, and it says, those who guard their lips preserve their lives, but those who speak rashly will come to ruin. So imagine just being like your biggest hater. You basically speaking negativity over your life is basically just you being your biggest hater, which is crazy. Like, you don't want to see yourself win, you don't want to see yourself climb, you don't want to see yourself be healthy, yet you're just opening your mouth to spew acid and like horrible things over your life and over your like yourself. Like, why? We shouldn't be doing that. We should be very cautious with the things that we speak. Use this mouth to prophesy good things, to prophesy health, to prophesy wellness over your life, because your words hold power. Now I'm going to move on to the next subject. So, still on the topic of basically the music industry's agenda and the power of our words, so I really want to highlight this verse, which is 2 Corinthians 4 verse 4, and it's super important and super relevant for right now. And the verse goes, the God of this age, God being small g, not the big G, the God of this world, which is obviously the enemy, the God of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers so that they cannot see the light of the gospel that displays the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. So the first part, I believe, is the part that is most relevant to us having this conversation right now. The God of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers so they cannot see the light of the gospel. If you notice, right, why is mainstream music so dark? And not necessarily dark like, oh, killing people, robbing people. Like, why are we just always singing about, like I said, horrible things? Like, there's this, okay, all the songs on the radio now, for example, if it's not something sexual, it's something self-depreciating. If it's not something self-depreciating, it's someone speaking like death over themselves, trying to make it funny. Like, there's this song that was always on the radio over summer. She feels like a zombie, she'll die at the party. Guys, what are we talking about? And you'll find her body covered in confetti. Like, why are we always bringing up death and tragedy over ourselves in the most, like, we're at a party, why are we talking about you now dying at the party and then confetti's of, like, no, we can talk about more relevant stuff, more empowering, enriching stuff, So basically, the enemy has a plan in place, an agenda in place. Music is super powerful. Like, literally, I don't know if you guys have ever watched that movie, They Clone Tyrone, but there's this scene in this movie where basically they start playing music, and basically by whatever music that the people like the higher ups, the government or whatever, or think about it, the enemy plays, people were either moving to the tune and like doing basically the subliminals that were in the message. So when they put on like the rap music or like stuff like that, people were getting rowdy, they were punching each other, they were killing each other, and then certain, like, a different type of music played and they were dancing to the tune of that music and enacting the subliminals in that music, So it was basically like, music is extremely powerful, very, very powerful. The enemy he is not dumb. He knows he's very strategic. That's the word that I'm going to give him. He's very strategic, very cunning. He knows how to worm his way. And if you think about it, the music that they put on the mainstream, super catchy. Like, the hooks, everything is super catchy. You're like, oh, I want to sing this. But it's like, if you really, the fish scales are dropped from your eyes, you'd be like, that's like a plan and a ploy to make sure that you are really meshing with the music, coming into agreement with the negative stuff that's in the music. He has blinded the eyes of the world to the point where we don't even see the problem in these evil lyrics and the darkness in these lyrics. We're not seeing the problem with just the overall nature and the overall, like, how will I say, the overall states of the music industry right now. For example, all these awards, like the MTV Awards, or I don't know, I haven't watched these in a long time. I used to watch them a lot when I was a child, but like I think BET Awards, all these type of award shows, right? Maybe they'll have like his name's Sam Smith, stuff like that. People like that doing like all these ritualistic performances on stage. Why is that what is mainstream? It even reminds me of a time I was talking with a friend, and I think we were talking about how, like, the type of music I listen to right now after I left things of the world. And I remember he mentioned something, he said something actually that I was like, wow, that's such an interesting thing that I just noticed. But he was basically like, so when did you stop listening to normal music? Referring to like when I was still listening to Cardi, like when did you stop listening to Cardi and all those type of people? And he was like, the fact that he referred to it as normal music. So for you to refer to something as normal music, it obviously means that the other thing that you now listen to is not normal and it's abnormal. So do you understand? Like, the music of the world is what is normal, and then listening to not necessarily like gospel praise and worship, but like music that glorifies God or that speaks life is now abnormal, just because he referred to the music of the world as normal. And I would really like it ticked me off. Not ticked me off, but it sent like alarm bells in my head. I was like, wow. And I was talking to him about it, I was like, wait, not normal. That old music isn't normal. I said worldly. That's worldly music, not normal music, you know? But it just shows you how much the enemy has distorted and he has warped our sense of normal to the fact that dark things, darkness, sickness, speaking all these things over our life is now what is normal. It's just the everyday occurrence. People speaking and singing about stuff like this over themselves and over the community is just normal. We need to be very vigilant with the things that we take in, the music that we listen to. Another example is like the Doechii song, like that's all over TikTok. Somebody's watching me, it's the anxiety. No, guys, immediately no. That's not. Stop speaking anxiety over yourself. Somebody's watching you. That's like you speaking mental illness over yourself. No, let's not do it. Let's not do it. Now, making this a bit more personal, switching from the agenda of the world, we're now going to switch gears into people's personal lives. Growing up, basically, you know how if someone would say something like the culture, when someone would say something funny, someone would be like, ha ha ha, they're so dead. Why are we immediately taught or immediately running to the point of like, oh, you're so dead, you know? That was something I used to say a lot when I was still in middle school back in Nigeria. But Nigeria is not even a thing like that. It's specific to Nigeria, you know? It's just a thing that was like, even here, like people are like, oh, bro, I'm so dead. Like, that was the funniest thing ever, bro. It's like, you know, like, why are we professing death over ourselves? Something can just be funny. Like, let it just be funny. Like, that was just super funny, bro. Let it just be funny. It doesn't have to be like, you're so dead. You're alive. It's funny. You're alive, you know? Speak life over ourselves. Now, something less extreme is, for example, people saying, oh, you're so dumb. I'm so dumb. I'm so stupid. I never understand anything. Like I always say, like the Bible says, your mouth has power. Your words have power. Use your mouth to either speak life or speak forth death. You saying you're so dumb, you're basically giving the demons authority to make you dumb. You're giving your mind authority to be dumb. You don't want to speak death or like dumbness or like sickness or like lack of understanding over yourself, you know. For example, something I say, if I don't understand this, something in the moment, I don't say, oh, I never understand things, or I'm never gonna understand this. I'm like, oh, it's coming to me, you know, it's coming to me, or it's gonna come to me, you know. That's what I say to replace that. If I'm not understanding something in that moment, I'll be like, oh, it's coming to me. I'm just gonna give it some time and it's gonna come to me. And it does come to me. Power of your words, literally. It's all about the mindset here. I think like it's basically like a half full, half empty situation, like a cup half full, half empty. How do you see things? You know, like okay, it's never gonna come to you, or like it's in the process of coming to me. Just be very cautious with your words. It actually reminds me of a time when I was back in Nigeria in boarding school, and one of my they call it house parents, but it was basically just older people, like an older woman, older teacher, older woman that's like assigned to take care of us in the boarding house. And she was basically, I think she had a headache, and she was like, at the time we used to laugh at her behind her back about it, about like, she'd be like, oh, she's feeling a headache. That's what she would say, like, I'm feeling a headache. She doesn't have the headache, she's feeling the headache. And my friend and I would be like, she's so unserious, like, what is that? What do you mean you're feeling a headache? Just so you have a headache. Like, this is not that serious. But no, it actually is. I think now that you get older and you get more in tune with how spiritual life is, you really are very cautious with your words. So it's so funny that I used to laugh at her about stuff like that now, and it's like now I'm in a situation where I'm so cautious about my words as well. And I feel like some people might be like, okay, you're doing way too much, but no, guys. I feel like if the veil and if the fish scales could be dropped from our eyes and from people's eyes, from the world's eyes, and if they just see things for how they really are and how spiritual like the world really is, people would not be playing with their lives like how they play with their lives every single day. We're giving the kingdom of darkness way too much control. Let me not say we. God forbid I'm not part. But people are giving the kingdom of darkness way too much control over their lives. Like, there needs to be a change. There needs to be a revolt. Like, there needs to be a change. We can't keep speaking and spewing negative things upon ourselves, upon our lives, upon our situations, you know? Use your tongue to speak life. So I'm gonna set another verse that basically backs up everything that I've been saying. Psalm 141 verse 3, set a guard over my mouth, Lord, and keep watch over the door of my lips. If you're someone that has a tendency to basically just be cursing yourself or cursing your situation or speaking ill of yourself, I would suggest like praying this verse, Psalm 141 verse 3. And by the way, all these verses that I'm reading are in the NIV version. So yeah, like I said, I would bring this verse in my prayer and be like, Lord, please help me. Set a guard over my mouth. Keep watch over the doors of my lips. Maybe ask the Holy Spirit, please guard my mouth, like protect my lips. If I'm ever about to speak something negative over my life, over my situation, like hold my lips shut or hold my mouth closed till like remind me of the power of my words. Also pray the prayer of God, remind me of the significance and the power that my tongue holds. Remind me of the significance and the power that my mouth holds, so that I'm not speaking death and illness and negativity upon my life, you know? I know it's obviously a process, like old habits are hard to break, but they will be broken anyway. You just really have to be very intentional about it and just ask God for guidance. Ask Him to help you, to help you basically speak life. Ask Him to help you speak life and to remove negative thoughts, negative words from your mouth. Because remember, there's nothing that is too big or too small for God to do. You just have to invite him in, ask him to help you out with this, and he will surely help you. Because he wants what is best for you. You know, you're asking him to improve you, to better you, to stop you from doing things that are hurting you in the long run. So of course he's gonna help you. He's gonna help you so fast, guys. He's gonna help you so fast. So something that I actually do to help myself intentionally speak words over my life, I have this alarm on my phone that goes off every other day, or like 4 to 5 days out of the week. It goes off at around 5:05 p.m. A reminder on my phone, and it basically says intentionally speak words over your life that you want to see. So basically, like words about health, words about my spiritual life, words about my success in life, words about just anything like your job, your career, your school, anything that you want to basically speak life into your health, your mental health, your physical health, whatever it is. So I would suggest doing that as well. Maybe you can start off by doing it every 2 days, and then like increase it up to every 4 days, and you can increase it up to every week, every day of the week if you want. But I would say start small, because like I said earlier, habits can be hard to break. You're not going to just wake up from, if you were someone that used to see your dad every single time something was funny, it's like second nature. Like if someone says something funny, your dad is just going to come out of your mouth, you know? But I would say every time that you find yourself saying stuff like that, first of all, I would cancel it. Like pray against it, like God forbid, I pray against this in Jesus' name, amen. Then speak life. You know, so like kind of like cut it out, cancel it out, and then speak life. And then over time, you will notice that those type of words don't come out of your mouth anymore. And then that coupled with the fact that you now have like this, like I said, this alarm that is set up on your phone. Like I'm gonna put what it looks like in my phone there when the alarm pops up. But when you basically have that alarm that comes up and that reminds you, okay, let me speak life. I take like what, 15, 30 seconds. It's not really a long time. I'm not here for 15 minutes listing everything, like just 15, 30 seconds. And then I'm just speaking life over certain situations, over certain characteristics, over certain things that I want to speak life into that is relevant to me, you know. So yeah, start by doing stuff like that. And then I promise that you'll watch how things will be changing for the better in your life and in your situation for sure.